Welcome back, everyone, to your long-awaited, 4-month hiatus from the close screening. That
I
was then a hiatus from the previous 4-month hiatus.
It's the
But
hiatus 2 or Electric Boogaloo.
hiatus 2 is over.
That's right, baby. We're back with a
It's over. We're
vengeance.
back. I was grad school. I graduated with a degree in film studies. So maybe that makes me a little credible when it comes to talking about movies. Maybe the audience will take me serious.
I'm sure
But
more than me at least, because I'm a filthy casual.
but grad school in film and media studies. So we had to adjust to the workload of grad school before we could hop back on. But the semester's over, and I'm about to be done with work. So I think we'll probably be able to find a nice balance
I
and a
think s-
recording schedule that will work for everybody.
I think so.
But before we start the new episode off, I've seen some pretty good movies that you probably haven't seen. If you said you've been pretty busy.
Yeah, work has kind of taken over my life for the last 2 or 3 months.
So
So
I just recently watched Paul Thomas Anderson's Boogie Nights from 1997. You're a big Mark Wahlberg fan, aren't you?
I was until I found out about what he did to that Vietnamese man in Boston. Now
Yeah.
not so much.
Uh, this was back in 1997. About him and his come up in the porn industry in the 70s as a young boy. Uh,
I've heard about this film. Didn't know anything about it. I didn't think with the name Boogie Nights it'd be about you know
it's about
about
the
porno.
porn business. It was pretty good. I really like Paul Thomas Anderson. Next I watched The Northman yesterday. I went and saw that.
How was it?
I don't know. I think it definitely falls victim to the 21st century marketing of like, let's not actually show what this movie actually is, and let's make it everyone think it's an action movie when it's really not. So people will get their like butts in seats.
Fair enough.
It's a drama. I definitely thought it was Robert Eggers' worst film, but I'll rate it as 7.7
That's not
on
bad if that's his
on the end.
worst film.
No, it's still technically great,
Mm.
great performances, but I don't know, just didn't capture the magic that like The Witch did. Uh-oh, the dog's moving.
No, that's
I think
fine.
your I think your dog was a fan of The Witch.
I think she was. Rosie, do you like The
Um,
Witch? No way to know.
uh, I saw Doctor Strange, which I thought was woefully mid.
I've heard
Again,
a lot of mixed reviews.
this one again falls victim to the, well, let's market the crap out of this movie, and let's make fans think that's the next like Endgame or Infinity War when it's not that at all.
If you want
It's a
to,
very
if you want to spoil, I don't think I'm gonna see it. So if you want to get into nitty gritty details, spoiler alert,
I'll let you
possibly
you can watch it when it's on Disney
Disney
Plus.
Plus.
That's why I called you like an hour before the movie because I had an extra ticket, and I was like, I know it might be tough to get here in an hour, but I got a free ticket for you.
I think me and Emma had just sat down. I'd got her the Lego succulents set. I think we had
Yeah.
like just sat down to make those, and like I put my phone on the couch. I was like, all right, I promise, no phone, just Legos. And then I like got up a little bit later, and I saw you had called me, and I was like, oh,
There's my Legos right there.
they're just out of frame.
I
Oh,
I think you can see Boba Fett.
uh,
Ooh, the Lego succulents.
this isn't even a succulent. This is the bonsai tree she got me.
Oh, my apologies.
No, it's fine. The
Um,
succulents are in her bookshelf.
and then I watched Everything Everywhere All at Once,
I've heard so many good things about that film. That's the
which
one film I need to watch.
that's my number one recommendation of the year. I'm not gonna say anything about it because it's better just go in with. The only thing you need to know is that it's a great film,
I know a little bit about it. I know
and
it's
I think
the best
we'll talk about it
multiverse
later.
film of the year.
Yeah, it's better than Doctor Strange. But that's about it on me. Anything you want to talk about before we jump into today's topic,
uh,
our versus match?
let me think. What's been happening with me? I've been working too much. I started playing Valorant again, which has been detrimental to my mental health completely. Um,
Are you done with Elden Ring?
no, my game glitched and I can't fight the Godskin duo for some reason. They just won't spawn for me. And that might be I just haven't triggered something. But I took a break, started playing Valorant, and I haven't looked back. I think I might start streaming on Twitch again. That'll probably last me
Oh,
2 weeks before I get tired of it again. So,
ooh, I like the GameCube in the back, by the way.
you like that? My
Yeah.
limited edition Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness GameCube that I found out does not resell for much more than I bought it for. Kind of disappointed. So
How much could you get for it?
I think the most I ever saw on eBay was like $300, and I think we bought it for like
I
200, 250. I think.
I have one right here. I only bought it for like $50. Just the black GameCube.
Yeah, this one is. I think the reason I would done resells, I don't have the game that came with it. The
Hmm.
Pokemon. I only have Pokemon Coliseum. I've been debating spending $70 on Melee, but why do that when I can
Yeah.
just play it on my PC with Slippy? But yeah, that's it for me. I've just been gaming, hanging out with my fiance, and working like a madman.
Good. All right. So today, it's what, May 10th. The summer blockbusters are already starting to roll out. So I thought today we'd we'd tackle Spielberg versus Cameron, two of the kings of the blockbuster, the popcorn cinema, probably the two faces of American directing of the probably the 20th century.
It may surprise you or any of our viewers and listeners. I've seen a lot more Spielberg films than I have Cameron films.
And to our audience, if you've been a day one listener, you know that I have not been kind on not Steven,
James
James,
Cameron.
Mr. Cameron. And I want to take this time to talk directly to James. If you're listening, if this somehow comes to your desk, I want to apologize.
The full walk back, huh?
It's the full walk back because for one of my papers this semester, I tried to tackle the transition from film cameras, like film stocks, projection, everything. Every film ever made before 1996 was made with a film camera. But then after 1996, they changed to not everybody, but digital filmmaking. And without James Cameron, that probably would not have been as successful. He's a pioneer. He's an innovator. And even if you don't like his movies, you got to respect him for just the visionary mind that he is. And actually, going back and looking at some of his movies, I said, you know what? I was too harsh. Avatar may not be my favorite movie ever, but you got to respect the man. We can get more into that because when we start talking about more of the digital films he was making.
I have some beef with Avatar, but we'll get to that later.
All right, so the way we're going to do this is we're going to look at each decade of films, and then we're going to basically match up their films from that decade, and we'll see who comes out top dog. And just a notice now, we are not just covering every single one of their films because I don't think talking about Warhorse is relevant in the blockbuster cinema conversation we're about to have. I don't even think.
What, you don't want to talk about
Schindler's,
the adventures
I don't
of
even
Tintin?
think. Well, Tintin's a little different, but like I don't think Schindler's List is relevant for this conversation. All right, so with that out of the way, we're starting with the 70s. I know. Oh, but Zach Chase, the Close Screening Podcast, I hate it. Spielberg actually started directing in 1967. Yes, shut up. We don't care about not stupid. We don't care about his early films.
Like what? Slipstream and Amblin? Not a fan.
Yeah, never seen them. Not gonna pretend that I've seen them.
Nobody watching this, nobody commenting that has seen Slipstream or Amblin. Definitely haven't seen Slipstream because it says it's unfinished on IMDb. So get off our dick.
We don't care about what Piranhas 2 or Piranhas 3 that James Cameron, that was his first movie. No, like no one we're getting on tangents. No one talks about like David Fincher and says, "Oh my god, I love what he did on Aliens 3." No, shut up. Anyway, all right. So starting with the 70s, James Cameron had no films. He was not active in the 70s. So Spielberg wins by default, technically. But we'll go into his two films from the 70s. First, in 1975, we have Jaws.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen Jaws? I know a lot of people that have never seen this movie.
I watched it on TV at the beach when it was raining one day, and I had my cousins running around, so I've seen it. I don't remember much of it. I was like 12 and 13. My parents told me that it was the scariest movie they'd ever seen, so
Yep.
anxiety spiked through the roof. I was like, this is going to be terrifying, and then I watched it, and I was like, eh.
I
So
think this movie has to be seen when you're a child, I think.
I would agree.
Because I remember watching this movie. This movie probably should be rated R, but it's rated PG. I think in today's society, it would. Well, there's no PG-13
Yeah.
back in the 70s. I do think that this movie now, if you send it to the MPAA, it would definitely get an R rating. But I remember watching this when I was like 11, and I remember I was like, "Oh shit! If I step in the beach, I'm dead. I'm donezo." And I remember even diving in the pool in the deep end, and I would swim up as fast as I could, just to make sure a shark didn't come out and get me. But like Abigail, my girlfriend, for those who don't know, she watched it when she was like 20, and it does not hold up if you have like, I think maybe a developed mind in a sense. Like if it's your first viewing of the film.
I would agree to that. I think. Well, if I watched it back now, I probably would. I'm blanking. Holy shit! Sorry. What cut? Rosie's whining in the other room, and I'm just like trying to not ignore my dog, but ignore my dog a little bit.
Ignore the dog. But I would encourage our viewers that love Jaws to look at the production of the film because it's like kind of crazy. Like Spielberg refused to film on the Universal backlot that had a giant like ocean, quote unquote ocean, to film on. It had to be filmed on the water. The animatronic shark, they didn't like really didn't account for the water weight that it would get like waterlogged
Mm-hmm.
when they were filming with it. So they could only shoot for so long before they had to let it air dry. So they were always like PAs like getting hair dryers like drying it off like all throughout the night until they could shoot again. The salt water like would rip off the paint of the shark. And I'm pretty sure Spielberg at one point thought that his like career directing was over because he thought it was going to be a flop. But then it's now often called the first blockbuster. Also, fun fact, the blockbuster is a reference to a blockbuster bomb from the early 40s because and the blockbuster bomb was a bomb that could destroy an entire block. So people waiting outside the movie theater, if a blockbuster bomb fell on them, they would all die.
That's how morbid.
Like that, it's like that's how many people were going to
No,
see these movies. Yeah,
that's for. Oh my god. Ooh.
but I would say this is a classic. Everyone needs to see this film at least once. But I do understand that it's a bit dated now. It doesn't hold up as well as it did back in probably even our childhood.
Go watch it with a grain of salt.
So moving on to his second film of the 70s, Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Seen it?
No.
And we won't spend too much time on it. It's his first dabble in like aliens, peaceful aliens come to Earth. It's not very like alien heavy. It's like a more of a drama with aliens in the back, and it's a pretty good film, but it's often overlooked when looking at Spielberg's like alien movies. When you have E.T.,
That's what
but
I was thinking of.
it's still a pretty good film. So we don't have to spend much time on the 70s because obviously Cameron wasn't active.
It's a
But yeah, Spielberg had two pretty successful films in the 70s. It's Close Encounters of the Third Kind came out in 1977. So let's move to the 80s. So I don't think we should count this in the Spielberg wins category
the
because
the
he's,
70s.
yeah.
That's fair.
So the 80s, it's a tough one. I have 3 films to talk about for Cameron and 5 for Spielberg. All right,
Interesting.
let's do them in chronological order.
Okay.
Spielberg, 1981.
Raiders.
Hot off of the success of Star Wars. George Lucas, Steven Spielberg go on vacation together, and they come up with the idea for Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah.
2 of the greatest American cinematic minds of all time sit down, write the script. George Lucas writes the script. He gives it to Spielberg to direct. Lucasfilms production, Raiders of the Lost Ark. Probably the role that Harrison Ford wishes he was remembered for instead of Han Solo.
Yeah.
What, three sequels plus another one coming out next year?
2 sequels, a movie we don't talk about, and one coming out next year.
Spawn, probably arguably one of the top 10 trilogies of all time.
Spawned, one of the worst Lego games ever.
But remember when you could get him at Lego Star Wars: A Complete Saga?
No, because I never played the complete saga.
Oh, that was pretty sick. He had a gun and a whip. That was pretty sick. So you can't really beat Raiders of the Lost Ark when you're talking about action, comedy, just a classic film that everyone should, I hope, have seen. Unless you're my girlfriend, who's never seen it.
I don't know if Emma's seen it either.
It's definitely more of a, I hate to say gender movies, but it's definitely like, I think boys, like especially young boys, gravitate towards that movie a lot more than girls. I hope I don't get canceled for saying that.
No, I think that's a very fair assessment of the Indiana Jones franchise as a whole.
I will say that looking at Spielberg's next film, he had an incredible run in the 80s.
No kidding.
Next film we're going to look at, 1983, E.T. And if you've listened to our favorite films of all time with our former co-host Nicholas, you will know that this is his favorite film of all time. If he was home right now, I would call him in here and get him to talk about it because he loves it so much, but he's not, so he can't. But go back and listen to the first ever episode of the podcast if you'd like to hear Nicholas talk about it. I have to admit, I haven't seen it in years.
I haven't seen it either, but I went on the ET ride last time I was in Universal, like 2 or 3 years ago, and I think that pretty much tells me everything I need to know about the film.
I do think E.T. represents like Spielberg's style of movies that he picks to direct. Just the movies that aren't gonna upset anyone. They're good to just sit and watch, and you're gonna be entertained. You're gonna enjoy it. Nothing's really gonna challenge you the way you think. Like, we know E.T.'s the good guy. Like,
yeah,
we're gonna root for him and Elliot. It's just like we know Indiana Jones are the good guys. Like, it's just his filmmaking personified.
Hey, I mean, if
But
you're incredibly xenophobic, E.T. might be the bad guy, you know? So, something to think about there. I'm sure there's somebody that saw that film and was like, why the hell were they helping that little wrinkly feller? He came into this country illegally.
He was an illegal immigrant. But I will say, the 80s are the first time, we'll get to that in a second, when Spielberg does dabble in more dramatic filmmaking.
I think I know which one you're going to bring up.
But 1984, let's switch over to James Cameron.
Oh, okay.
We have not his first film, but I think his second or third film.
It looks like, based on IMDb, it's his second.
We have The Terminator. Have you seen The Terminator?
I watched it with my grandfather when I was 14. And I have not seen it since. Not I haven't seen the first one since then.
Well, this was the first R-rated film I've ever seen. I ever saw,
I think same.
and I saw my 9 or 10.
Phew.
Yeah, my mom was very open with me watching R-rated films as long as there wasn't a lot of sex in it. But it will always hold a special place in my heart. And while I do think that it's worse than the second film, but it's still a very very good science fiction film, and it's a good starting point to watch the James Cameron evolution of his science fiction works. Um, but it's pretty good. Not much to say about it. Cool practical effects. I think he realized how to make a better film when the second one comes out in 91.
Yeah, 91.
Yeah. Um. So switching back to Spielberg, 1984, we have Indiana Jones Temple of Doom. Um, I bet it's slight decline from the first one. I really don't understand all the hate that it gets
I haven't seen it in years, so I didn't even know it was hated.
because people just, oh, it's so much worse than the first one. Indiana Jones's character is so much like the character itself is like he doesn't act like he did in the first one, but it is a prequel. Did you know that?
Actually, I did not.
Temple of Doom is set like a year or two before the events of
Raiders.
Raiders.
Interesting.
Um, Also, I have to one more time shouting out Everything Everywhere All at Once. Short Round. Ke Hung Kwan made his
Oh
return to
yeah,
acting in Everything Everywhere All at Once. Just go watch the movie. Um, Staying with Spielberg for 1985 and 1986, we have The Color Purple and Empire of the Sun. We don't really need. They're not really relevant, as I said. They're
Ha-
more his first real dabbles at. I think I would say I wasn't alive during '85. I think it's his first attempt at trying to get that director Oscar.
I haven't seen either of
Um,
these films. The
I
only
haven't
thing
seen
I
Empire of the Sun. The Color
isn't
Purple's okay. It's
isn't
dramatic.
Oprah in The Color Purple?
She could be.
I just think I remember some meme where like there's a clip and she just goes purple, and then it cuts. That's the only thing I know about The Color Purple. So not much to
Could
say.
be. Um,
Next is
1986, we move back to James Cameron with Aliens, and this movie's conflicting to me. Have you seen it?
this is the second one, right?
Yeah.
Yes, I have. I watched it with my grandfather as well. Me and my grandfather used to just hang out and watch movies when I'd go to their
big
house.
big James Cameron fan, wasn't he?
Just big sci-fi fan. I mean, have you ever seen what is that show? Actually, I gotta look it up now. It's not Splitgate. That's the game. Oh gosh, it's not important. It's some sci-fi TV show that was on like the Science Channel or something, and it had like a movie, and it was like it was like a discount Star Wars, Star Trek, Stargate.
No, I haven't seen that. My mom used to watch Battlestar Galactica. That was a good science fiction show.
Yeah, my grandfather was obsessed with Stargate, so I watched a ton of Stargate growing up. But yeah, I've watched Aliens when I was probably too young to watch it. I think I was even younger than when I last watched what was the movie we were talking about before that, The Terminator. I think I
Yeah,
watched Aliens when I was like probably 10 with him, and I think I was I think I was kind of scared of it.
yeah. Um, See, Aliens. It's regarded as one of the like best sequels of all time, and like I understand why people like why I guess not some people why the producers and director like swapped out the tight corridors and the shallow lighting for like the muscular marines with machine guns. If the goal was to outsell and like outdo the original, because in my humble opinion, I think the first one is the greatest science fiction horror film of all time, and in the top 5 science fiction films of all time. So you can't really outdo that one. So I think that Beck's next course of action would be to change the genre of the film into an action film.
From what I remember and from what I've heard you talk about it, they kind of made the aliens go from like this, apex predator that was this
Yeah.
thing to be completely feared to just like bullet fodder.
Yeah, which I mean, the Marines are better equipped than Ripley was it I can't remember the name of the ship,
Yeah,
but
you're
she
on
had a
your own.
flamethrower, but yeah, it's definitely like I do prefer the one alien, no weapons, this thing will kill you as soon as it looks at you over the let's kill thousands at one time. But it's still a pretty good movie. I can't say that for the rest of the Alien films, but
I
they were not involved. Ridley
was about
Scott
to say, yeah.
nor James Cameron were involved. Um, so staying, we'll say with James Cameron for 1989's The Abyss, which I do think it's. Have you seen The Abyss?
Let me see. No, I don't. No, I haven't seen it.
It's
Does star our old friend Ed Harris though.
yeah, Ed Harris. It's I wouldn't say it's great. It's I. It is interesting to see that he keeps returning to like the ocean. Like he had like I don't know. It's the first like it's set in the ocean and they're trying to go like they're like scuba divers looking for stuff and then aliens pop out at the end. So it's a bit weird, but I think when you're looking at Titanic and now his new Avatar movie, which is all about the ocean on Pandora, it is very interesting to see that he keeps coming back to the ocean.
He's obsessed, bro.
He's obsessed. He's a tortured artist, bro.
Honestly, it's you don't understand the symbolism.
He was a sailor in a former life.
He's the son of Poseidon.
So our last film for Spielberg, that was our last film for Cameron. This is our last film for Spielberg. 1989's final not Lord of the Rings. What the fuck am I talking about? Indiana Jones: The Last Crusade, final film in the original trilogy. I'd say it finishes on a higher note than the second one, but I don't think it could match the charm of the first one, even with Sean Connery as Indy's dad. It went a little off the walls at the end with the Holy Grail. Not the Holy Grail. Was it the Holy Grail?
It is the Holy Grail.
It is the Holy Grail.
I forgot they fought Nazis in this film. Oh my god, I gotta bleep that.
They're
I'm
always
sure.
they're always fighting the
Oh,
men
are
in
they?
red armbands.
Uh,
Because in the first one, the man in red armband gets his face melted.
yeah, I need to
Right.
watch the Indiana Jones films again. It's been too long.
Um. But all right, who wins? Who wins this decade? All right. To recap for Cameron, we got the Terminator, Aliens, and the Abyss. Spielberg, we have Raiders, E.T., Temple of Doom, The Color Purple, Empire Sun. Don't matter. Forget I mentioned them. The Last Crusade.
I'm gonna hand this decade to Spielberg. I think.
Me too. I said Spielberg wins in Game 7. I think it's close.
I would agree.
I think the Terminator really carries the brunt force. Aliens is helping out. The Abyss is kind of just the center, maybe scoring 4 points a game.
I think the Abyss was the collapse in Game 7.
Yeah. But Raiders, ET. I think Raiders and ET carry. They're a
agree.
tag team.
I would
They're
completely
LeBron
agree.
and D Wade, and we got the Last Crusade, Chris Bosh, making the difference.
I do think it is a testament to Cameron that he was able to put up such a close fight with only 3 films.
Yes. Okay. This will be a trend of Spielberg making a lot of more films in a decade, and some of them are good. But Cameron says, "All right, I'm gonna make 2 films in 10 years. I'm gonna leave it there." So, all right. So Spielberg goes up 1-0.
I'll put up if I remember to in the edit, I'll put up a little scoreboard.
A little counter.
Yeah.
Um, move on to the 90s. The 90s.
All
Our
right.
90s babies.
That's right.
Only one of these films that we will be talking about. We will have been born by.
Yep, it looks like that. Yep.
All right, we'll get this one out of the way. Spielberg, 1991, directs Hook,
This is the Peter Pan film.
the Peter Pan
Yeah,
film.
Robin Williams.
Robin Williams. You know what? Gotta do what you gotta do. Pay the bills sometimes.
Hey, it's got
Not
a
a bad
six,
film.
got a 6.8 on IMDb.
It's an okay Peter Pan movie. All right, we'll just move on. We don't need to really consider that one. I just thought it was of note to put it up there. Cameron comes in it on 1991, and maybe to this day put out the best action film of all time in Terminator 2. T2, as they call it.
I was about to say,
This movie,
movie's
this
what
is what
started
this
it.
is
This is what started it all.
It's what started it all, baby. There's This is the perfect TV movie in my opinion.
I could not agree more.
If this movie is on television, you know I'm turning it on to just see what part they're at. If not, spending the next 20-30 minutes watching it before I have to get up. And if they are at the final car chase and he's about to get frozen in liquid nitrogen, I may stick around for the rest of the film. But I need to watch it again. I now might have to go home. I have it on the shelf right here.
I'll have to find it online because my DVD
It's
collection
on
is HBO
Netflix
Max.
or HBO Max,
It's
one
on
of
HBO
those.
Max.
But
Let's see if Emma wants to watch.
you can't. They should have stopped at T2.
Couldn't agree more.
Especially the atrocities that they committed in the most recent one.
I haven't seen it. I had no
I
desire.
watched it because they pulled me in. They said, "Oh, James Cameron came back to produce," and then they killed John Connor in the first 5 minutes of the movie in a flashback. And I'm like, "What's the point of this if we're gonna ditch John Connor?" But anyway, I love it. I think this is James Cameron's best film. But we'll move on to one of my favorite Spielberg films. The 90s were just a golden age for both of these directors. And most I think the 90s will be looked back on, and probably already is, as probably the best decade for filmmaking in general.
There's a lot of heavy hitters this decade for both of them.
And then that's not even talking about all the Tarantino films that came out.
We were born in the wrong decade, Zach.
We were born in the wrong generation. Actually, we were born in the right time, so we can watch them all
Good point. We just didn't get to experience them at the box office.
at the box office.
Although, I don't have to remember 9/11, so, good with the
Oh
bad.
my god. But in 1993, Spielberg puts out Jurassic Park, one of the biggest probably IPs in the world. The original trilogy, and now there's the second trilogy is about to be completed this July.
We don't need to talk about the second that
Can't say I've seen further than the first Jurassic World.
Same.
But I would say Jurassic Park is one of my favorite films. Simple message. Don't make dinosaurs.
Yeah, I was about to say.
But you could get into the corporate greed. That's not the message of the film. But
No, just don't make dinosaurs.
Don't make dinosaurs. Actually, you should probably.
You should, but just do a better job of keeping them in check.
Yeah, make sure you have the backup generators working.
And if you want the message from the new trilogy, just don't go to the park. Is what it seems like is the new trilogy.
Mm-hmm. I don't even know what the second and third one are about.
But
Jurassic Park, probably one of the best blockbusters of all time. You know what? It's hard to say if he can be out, if Cameron can come back. But with that one, 93, just linger in there. We'll stay with him at 93 with Schindler's List. It's not really
hitters. I think as far as box office go, right?
It's successful in the box office, and it was like The Color Purple and Empire of the Sun were basically his warm-ups on the serious cinema, and he finally got his best director Oscar for it. I do not think that we should put this film into consideration because it doesn't really fit the criteria of a box office film in the way I'm defining it today.
Fair enough.
But I think it is interesting that he was literally filming both of those films back to back.
Quite a different, two
And
very
I think
different
it really
tones.
shooting. I can't think it was like shooting Schindler's List, and then he would go help with the script for Jurassic Park, and it was just like super taxing on him. But yeah, we'll go to James Cameron for True Lies in 1994.
Haven't seen it. I just saw that it stars Arnold Schwartz, a slur last
I
name.
would I would say this, if you're a True Lies fan, don't come at me. I'm gonna say this is our first dud.
Flop. Ooh.
Dud. It may not have been a financial flop, but I think it's a dud.
A fearless globe-trotting, terrorist-battling secret agent has his life turned upside down when he discovers his wife might be having an affair with a used car salesman? The
Yep,
fuck?
dud.
Well, I don't care. It just sounds like something that it sounds like something that would come out today, like as a Netflix exclusive, starring like Adam Sandler. I don't care.
But we'll move on. There's not much to say. Dud. You can put that if you edit it. You can put dud
I'll put
on the
dud in
screen.
big block.
You can put a dud counter on the screen.
I'll put it in I don't know. It's a big font, a strong font, Times New Roman, some
dud.
strong.
But the duds were not meant for James Cameron, apparently, because he comes back 3 years later, 97, with Titanic.
Absolute hitter.
Many called this the best love story of all time. I'm not big into the romance movies, so I'm not going to comment on that. But just what it did for cinema in and of itself, pushing the computer technology to its limits, it can't be understated how important that was for digital filmmaking. And it was once the highest grossing film of all time. I think it's what, 3? Is it still 3?
Let's look it up. Highest grossing films of all time. Top lifetime grosses, Box Office Mojo. It is number 3 behind Avengers
Yeah.
Endgame. Somehow Avatar has, again...
They re-released Avatar.
Oh my god.
And they're going to do it. They're releasing it again before the second one comes
Oh my...
out.
Look, this is just the Tetris effect.
But I'm gonna go ahead and say I'm gonna call it for James Cameron for this decade.
That was the decision. Sorry, I thought I thought there was more to that.
Even though we still have 2 films for Spielberg. We have Jurassic Park: The Lost World,
and Saving Private Ryan.
pretty decent film. Not in the same ballpark as the first Jurassic Park. I think people think back on it and think of how bad the third one was, and then group the second one in with it.
I think I would refer to the second one as good but forgettable.
Yeah, and it has Vince Vaughn in it, so.
Well, never mind. It's great but forgettable.
And then Saving Private Ryan, I think honestly could be his most famous movie. Maybe, I don't know. I just feel like so many teen boys loved this movie.
I was not one of those teen boys. I didn't see that movie till I was 20.
Really?
Yeah. Also, my parents didn't let me see it, so that's why.
But I do think that this movie might only be remembered as fondly as it is because of the opening scene, the Normandy invasion.
Mm-hmm.
That's just so like powerful. I think you ride the wave of that for the rest of the 2-hour runtime or whatever. But I do think that his style of like easy watching in this movie like meets the serious topic of World War II and creates a very rewatchable war film, which isn't a very easy thing to do. Like it was on yesterday, and I was like, no, I may tune in a little bit. Just see what we're doing.
I think I have it in my DVD collection back here somewhere.
I think you do too. I
think
remember
so,
it at your old place.
You put it on in the background on the PS3 for the rest of this. Nah, I won't do that. That'd be distracting.
Again, we got more Spielberg movies, but I'm gonna vote Cameron for the 90s, purely on Terminator 2 and Titanic. The cultural significance of those 2 films alone, I think, outweigh Jurassic Park is basically and Schindler's List and Saving Private Ryan. We don't have to really count The Lost World or Hook if we're thinking about that.
I'm going back and forth.
I think if we're gonna use the basketball analogy again, I think it's a Cameron buzzer beater in Game 7. Maybe even overtime buzzer beater.
Yeah, I'll give him the walk off. I'll give Cameron this decade.
All right, we are on agreement. All right, this is where
I think we're going to disagree.
we might disagree.
Looking at Cameron's 2000s run, I think we're going to disagree. Wait, potentially. I don't know. I may have just spoiled my decision already.
All right, we're gonna run through some of these.
We're speed run.
We're gonna speed run the Spielberg Minority Report dud.
I haven't seen it.
Catch Me If You Can.
This
Entertaining Oscar bait.
as this film holds a special place in my heart. This is like the first movie, one of the not first movies. I'm being hyperbolic. This was a movie that me and my dad sat down to watch one day, and like I could tell he really enjoyed it. And so for me, like my dad's a pretty even kill person, and he's a pretty calm, cool, collected. Doesn't like show his emotions a lot unless we're talking about specific things like Georgia football or that's a whole other rabbit hole. Go Dogs. So for me to like kind of get to witness this little moment of what's the word I'm looking for? Sensitivity, passion, something that kind of see him almost with like this childlike wonderment about a film. So Catch Me If You Can holds a very special place in my heart. I like it a lot, and it's probably mostly nostalgia. But I'm gonna the next Spielberg film also is very similar to this.
The Terminal.
Oh, never mind. I was talking about War of the Worlds. I didn't know if we talked about The Terminal. I've never seen it.
We got Terminal. Interesting true story. Oscar bait. Tom Hanks. Move on.
Yeah, I've never
we
seen
got
it.
War of the Worlds. Dud.
This is where we disagree. I take this movie for what it is.
Go rewatch that movie.
I take this movie for what it is. I know it's kind of.
But it's not trying to be campy. It's trying to be serious. It's a dud.
I enjoy it. I know it's not trying, but
why are we remaking War of the Worlds? I don't know why we had to remake. That was a remake.
Yeah, I see. Yeah.
And then we come to an end of the 2000s for Cameron.
I can't see
in 2008
to talk
with
about.
Kingdom of the Crystal Skulls.
No, we don't even talk about it. This kind of ruins the entire decade for me.
I will just tell a little personal anecdote about that film.
Go for it.
The whole family.
No way.
My dad, my sister, and my mom. We all went to the film in the theaters. And then we get out, we're walking back to the car. I remember it was a hot summer day, but it was 6, 7 o'clock, the sun setting. So it's that real like passionate heat, mid-July probably. And I just remember I said, that movie sucked. And I said, that movie just was horrible. What did I just watch? And I was 10. Even I knew at 10 years old that movie was horrific. Horrific.
Zach, do you believe that we live in a simulation?
Is this the movie where the simulation glitched a little bit into something that wasn't supposed to happen?
I had almost the exact same experience with this film. I went and saw it in the summer with my entire family. We walked out. My dad was like, that was a waste of $40. And I was like, I didn't really understand why they were aliens. I didn't get it. I was like,
what theater did you go see that at?
Actually, it wasn't Beechwood. I think we were at the lake. I think we were like at.
Oh, I was about to say, was it the one on the east side of Athens?
No, I think we were at the lake.
That's where we never went to that theater either. That would have been crazy.
That would have been absolutely insane. But no, yeah, I think I was in like wherever Lake Sinclair is, Gwinnett or Gainesville or whatever it is. I don't even know.
What a horrific return to Indiana Jones! If you didn't know, Kingdom of the Crystal Skulls is an Indiana Jones 4.
It's terrible. It's there's nothing much to say about it. If you want to see like a good representation of what that film is, watch the South Park episode about it. I think that's the best way to describe it.
All right. So now we're switching to James Cameron.
I'm going to be honest with you. I've only seen one of these films in the 2010s.
We're only talking about one of them because it's the only non-documentary that came out.
Then we should be good.
Avatar 2009.
Yep.
It should be noted that this is the last film that he's directed. The highest grossing film of all time. Avatar 2 comes out this December, and it actually looks pretty stunning.
It does look very beautiful. Actually, Zach got me to watch the trailer right before we started recording, and I was a little awestruck about how pretty this film is.
And if you've listened to the podcast before, if you're a friend in my personal life, I have dogged, I have ragged, I have criticized this film to no end for years.
I feel a walk back coming.
I'm not walking back on the plot
Okay.
because it doesn't do it for me. It's basic. It's not new.
I
For
can agree.
as fresh as this film was supposed to be, the first of its kind, the plot really lets it down.
I can completely agree with that.
This film pushed the limit of digital filmmaking to a level that it had never seen and to this date still hasn't seen again in 2009, to the point where James Cameron and I forget his name created an entirely new form of digital cameras to film the movie. It's two cameras on top of each other, and they film, and it creates like a 3D image. It's two cameras filming at once. And people have bought, and it's been used since then. And they created their own camera for this film. It's a technical masterpiece. And if everything is to go on for the sequel, the second is going to be just as technologically groundbreaking. And for that reason alone, Cameron wins the 2000s.
I knew we were gonna disagree, and I'll tell you why we're gonna disagree. I've watched Avatar one time, and I will never watch it again, and I'll explain why. I'll go into a personal anecdote of my own, if you will.
Do you hate Sam Witwerth?
No, honestly,
the star.
no, I don't. I thought he was pretty good. He's a voice actor in Call of Duty. I'm pretty sure. I think he
plays Mason.
Yeah, I actually. So he's in my favorite game, Modern Warfare 2. So I like him a lot. I think he's awesome. I think this movie's probably good if I rewatched it, but I'll tell you why I won't rewatch it. I didn't see this movie or this film in theaters. When this came out, 2009, I was 11.
2009.
I was 11, 12 years old, whenever, I don't know. It came to DVD, is what I'm getting at. My father saw this in theaters, bought the DVD, and said, all right, son, we're going to sit down in your room. We're going to put this on your little tiny CRT TV, and we're going to watch this together. And I said, we don't do a lot of things together. I would love that. So we sit down, and I think my dad had watched this already a few nights before, so he was still pretty fresh in his mind. And we're watching the film. We're enjoying it, and then it gets to the scene where the hair sex scene.
Yes. Infamous.
Again, I was 11, 12 years old, and my father is not a very. We didn't have a sex talk. We didn't have any of these kind of birds and bees talk. He basically was like, you know what sex is? I was like, yeah, and that was it. My father is extremely awkward when it comes to sex and stuff like that and topics like that. So we're sitting there watching it. Sorry, I don't know if you can hear Rosie going absolutely apeshit in the background. We're watching the film, and it gets to the sex scene, and he's like, oh yeah, the avatars kind of kiss kind of weird, huh? And I was like, I know they're fucking, Dad. And then we both sat there in silence. I don't know how long that is into the movie. I'm sure there's probably 30, 45 minutes left. We didn't talk for the rest of the film. He said, at the end of the film, he got up and said, pretty good, right? I said, uh-huh. And he walked out of my room. I didn't talk to him for the rest of the day. I still look at my dad kind of weird after that. So for that reason, Spielberg wins the 2000s for me.
Interesting.
Can't do it.
So
I was scarred. I was traumatized by this film. So by
the
Avatar.
2010s. We'll move on.
All right.
We'll just speed round it because James Cameron has nothing to offer us
Yeah, I was about to
in
say. I was
the
looking.
entire decade of the 2010s. We'll
Was
just
riding off
we
that
have
Avatar bag.
the Adventures of Tintin, War Horse, Lincoln, Bridge of Spies, the BFG, The Post, and Ready Player One.
I think this is a
I would
tie.
say
This decade's a tie.
none of these films. I think we should take a point away from Spielberg.
Yeah, I could do. I can get with that. Honestly, all
The
of these
Post,
films kind of suck.
fine. The Bridge of Spies, they're Oscar bait. Lincoln's Oscar bait. Warhorse, Oscar bait. The BFG is just a kids movie. Ready Player One was a hot pile of dog shit.
Yeah, I think everything you
So
said there was completely true.
maybe we should even give a point to James Cameron for not doing anything, for having the restraint to not pick up one of these films.
Point counterpoint. I may be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he re-released in Avatar and Titanic a bunch of times, which personally I think is kind of whack.
I think that's
Therefore,
him doing it.
also
That's
probably
probably
true.
the
That's almost
probably
definitely
the
the studio. Now
studio.
that I said that out loud, yeah, I realize.
Um,
I don't know if I can go as far as to give him.
I know. I know. My notes say Spielberg wins by default, but now that I'm looking at these, none of these films are worthy to give him a point.
That's why I said I think we should just leave it as a tie. I think neither of these
So
directors won this decade.
the 2020s, Spielberg only has West Side Story under his belt. Still baffled as to why we had to remake this film. Of all the films we're remaking, we had to do that one. And the lead actor has been canceled. So
The lead actor has?
and so Elgort got canceled a while ago.
Oh, I didn't know he was the lead in this. That's crazy.
And then we have James Cameron. Avatar 2 comes out this December. We shall see what happens. I'm assuming it's going to be a box office smash.
What the hell is The Fablemans? Oh, it's the
It's
Spielberg
his,
autobiography?
life story. Yeah. All right. So this may be. So we have. Let's see. So we have the 70s are going to Spielberg.
I think we said that it didn't count because Cameron had no films.
All right.
So 0-0.
We have the 80s.
Spielberg edged it.
Spielberg as one.
Yep.
We have Cameron the 90s.
Yep.
I have. You know what? For the sake of this podcast, I'm going to give Spielberg the 70s purely because he directed Jaws.
Fair enough. I can get behind that.
And then we have.
For Cameron.
I have Cameron winning the 2000s.
Fair enough. And then nobody gets the 2010s.
Nobody gets 2010s or 2020s, 2010s, 2020s.
Fair enough.
So the last thing, we could be tied. I know you don't agree. You may have.
I have Spielberg edging him 2-1 because I'm not giving. I wouldn't even give Spielberg the 70s. I'm just going to give him the 2000s.
Let's just, for the sake of this, let's say they're tied.
All right, that's fair.
I've got
clickbait. Let's do it.
I've got a list of films that both directors, personalities, auteurs have produced but not directed.
Okay.
And I'll give you a list of the highlights.
Okay.
For Spielberg. We'll start with just Spielberg, read them all off.
All right.
You've got Poltergeist, Gremlins, The Goonies, Back to the Future Part 2 and 3, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Twister, Men in Black 2, The Mask of Zorro, The Mark of Zorro, Jurassic Park 3, Transformers and all the sequels, The Lovely Bones, True Grit, Super 8, Jurassic World and all the sequels. And for James Cameron, we only have Point Break, Solaris, Alita, Battle Angel, Terminator, Dark Fate, and a plethora of documentaries.
Yep, this seems like it's going to be a pretty clear sweep for Spielberg on the producer side.
So I will say that purely because of what Spielberg has offered beyond his directing prowess, what scripts he has brought to life by executive producing, he will leave a larger cultural impact on society when both these men are no longer walking the earth?
I don't think I could have said it better myself. I don't have anything else to add, really. I think Who Framed Roger Rabbit is criminally underrated and one of the best.
He's producing the sequel that's supposed to be coming out this year.
I have literally no hopes for that film. I think sequels this far but past the prime of a film are never good. So
Also, fact on that, the early reviews for Top Gun Maverick are saying that it might be the best sequel of all time. I'm still not convinced that it's a joke.
yeah,
That is not a joke. Hold on, let me read you a tweet that I saw today.
look, I mean, you've seen the memes that have gone on with Morbius. I mean, people are saying it's bad. The memes about it being the best film of all time. It sold, 100 trillion tickets. So I can't take anything serious anymore.
Some guy named David Elrich, he's a verified Twitter user, chief film critic of IndieWire. He's got the credentials.
Okay.
He said Top Gun Maverick is a much, much better film than Top Gun. I'm not talking the difference between Paddington 2 and Paddington 1. I'm talking the difference between Paddington 2 and Morbius.
All right.
I don't even know what that means.
That's so much to unpack.
I am a Top Gun hater. I think that it is exploitive military propaganda.
Have you seen the conspiracy theories that like Chris Pratt and John Krasinski are government plants? Like, I'm not kidding. There's like a whole thing on TikTok. Well, that's beside the point. Sorry, go ahead. Finish your spiel.
You can look at the records of what Navy enlistees directly correlates with the release of that film for 1994, 1990. When did that movie come out? Top Gun. 1986. Dang.
May 24th, 2022 is what Google says. That's crazy.
I was talking about Top Gun.
I know. I looked up. I literally googled Top Gun release date, and it came up as Maverick. That's some awesome SEO, I gotta say. Top Gun Maverick.
So, my girlfriend really loves Top Gun. It's her favorite movie. I will definitely be seeing it, but I am just flabbergasted by the reviews that this movie is already getting. The parade. I have not said a single negative thing about it yet.
Which is allow me, if you will, to put on my tinfoil hat. I think all these reviews have been paid for by Scientology. So,
but I'm not. I don't know. That tweet almost seemed like a joke.
I think the Morbius inclusion might be like a nod to the meme of Morbius. So I am still not even remotely hopeful.
But if it was a joke, why are so many people in on it? That are qualified people that they review films for their job.
Mass hysteria? I don't know.
Mass hysteria. But you know what? I think that this was a tough battle. A tough fight for Cameron versus Spielberg.
Yeah, I think if Spielberg didn't have so many, producer credits on such bangers,
highly esteemed films,
and Transformers,
and every single sequel that's been released. I'm talking every single one.
Yeah, I think it'd be a lot closer at the end, personally. But I think these producer credits just kind of.
They definitely edge him over the edge of like.
Yeah.
Okay, I think
he's definitely more culturally significant.
I'm not. James Cameron still a great director.
I agree.
Apologize for everything I've ever said to you.
Oh, never mind. I forgot. I not true. Steven Spielberg is an uncredited executive producer on Shrek. So.
I saw that.
He wins by a landslide. Again. That's crazy.
Wins by a landslide. Why do we even do this episode? But you know what? I think these are fun to do.
Wait. Take it back. He was an executive producer on Balto, and that is almost guaranteed to be the catalyst for furries.
Uh-oh.
So I'm not sure if I can immediately I can immediately
We
say,
might have to
hey,
take this to the
yeah,
judges.
this might be up to the audience. Maybe you want to leave a comment on the YouTube video or a review to tell us how dumb we are and how much better that James Cameron is than Steven Spielberg, and why Balto is actually sexy or whatever. And why, what's her name, Jessica Rabbit from Framed Roger Rabbit is what gave you a sexual awakening. I know it did for me. So,
Uh-oh.
oh, whoopsies.
All right, so now that we figured out who's top dog, who's king, what's in store for our next episode?
Are we doing? Do you want to do another one like this? Another style
You know
where
what?
we
You pick.
compare?
You pick. It's your turn.
Ooh, okay. I was not prepared for this at all. I
That's show
could be,
business, baby.
I could be super lame and say, "Oh, let's talk about Scott Pilgrim again." But I think I want to go in a bit more of a general direction, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course.
I think I stated last episode. It's been a while. It's been what, 4 months? I don't remember exactly what I said. I don't remember what I said yesterday. I think I stated that Scott Pilgrim is one of, if not the best video game movie. So I think it would be a lot of fun to go over popular video game movies and kind of, I don't know necessarily rank them. Just try to find the definitive best video game movie.
I
I
think I
think
know the answer. It's gonna be Sonic.
I haven't seen it, so
But can you call Scott Pilgrim a video game movie when it was a comic book first?
I think it's one of those. I think it has the spirit of a video game, so I would
Yes.
call it a video game movie.
Well, okay.
Also, you're forgetting about the Mario Brothers movie with the shrunken-headed, weird-looking
Yes.
Goombas, and that
Yes.
that's up there for me.
Yes.
Ready Player One's at the bottom. I think
Oof.
this is gonna be a hot take. I think I've seen a lot of love for Free Guy from people that
That movie's
from
horrible.
I've seen the fucking hot
Horrible.
takes. I've seen these takes from people that I respect in the gaming industry. People that are streamers that I enjoy, gamers that I've watched for years, and they're like, I thought Free Guy was really good. I thought it really highlighted gamers. Oh my! I'm not even gonna get into it. There's so much wrong with that movie. As far like it was not written by people who know video games. It was written by video game adjacents, and it's atrocious. As a true gamer, I'm not gonna get into the stupid meme of being an oppressed group. I hate that. I think it's really problematic. But as a gamer, I think it is just terrible, and it's a I don't know. I'm at a loss for words for how bad that movie was.
Did you ever get to see the Batman?
No, the
Not
closest
yet.
closest thing I've seen to it is my favorite sketch group on TikTok making a spoof of it. So I know that something, the fucking Nirvana
Your
song.
mic cut out because you were
Yeah.
going so hard.
Yeah, I was just singing the Nirvana song. Anyway,
I got a recommendation for everybody.
let's hear it.
Barry season 3 just came out,
Okay.
and it is Marvel as always. So if you're not watching Barry on HBO, what are you doing?
I've heard so many good things.
And I finally got around to watching Blade Runner 2049.
I've heard somebody that
Masterpiece.
I was about to say somebody that I really respect said it's one of the greatest films ever made.
I was in every shot of that film. I was in awe. Definitely
to
go
watch
watch the
it.
original first because I was a little confused because I hadn't seen the original in a couple years, and especially since there's 95,000 cuts of that movie. But yeah, any recommendations for you? I know you said you haven't had a lot of time to watch anything.
I think the only thing me and Emma have been watching is Longmire, which I can't really recommend it. We're on season 5, and they've taken the character and fucking twisted him into what was originally just this lovable old man that was kind of morally gray to a fucking sociopathic, selfish asshole that is hard to root for in any capacity. So if you would
I
have
don't even know
asked
what that
me,
is.
it's this cop. It's essentially just like a it's like a episodic cop show that has a continuing story as the seasons progress.
Mm-hmm.
And it's this weird, it's in this weird territory where, like, some episodes he's solving this one murder, but also in the background these things are happening, and then the next episode is completely dedicated to these things happening. So it has some really big problems with like pacing and keeping you interested. I was really enjoying it up to the end of season 4, and then his character took a massive shift, and I've had a hard time watching it. Season 5. There's 6 seasons. Season 1 is okay. 2 and 3 are really good. 4 is
What's it
meh.
on? Like what? Where did it air?
Uh, it aired on TV, and then Netflix picked it up to finish it off.
Hmm. That sounds like a Fox show to me.
I think it was like AMC maybe.
Hmm. Interesting.
A&E.
Interesting.
No, it was A&E.
Interesting. Never heard of it.
It's all
But yeah,
right.
those are our recs, and we'll come back into you next week with video game movies.
Thank you guys for watching. Subscribe
Wait,
if you. Oh,
subscribe to our YouTube channel,
mm-hmm.
the Close Screening Podcast.
That's right. We're on
The close.
TikTok.
We're on TikTok now.
The
At the
Close
Close Screening
Screening.
Podcast, or just the Close Screening.
Just the Close Screening.
You're the tech wizard.
Yes, I try.
And then you can subscribe to us or follow us anywhere podcasts are found.
Right.
At the Close Screening. Follow us on Twitter at the Close Screening. Do we have an Instagram? I don't think we do.
No, I
Maybe we
don't.
should.
We can. I don't like Instagram, so I don't know how good I'd be at posting it. I don't post anything on my own Instagram.
But that's about it for us. Follow us, comment, follow us on TikTok, and comment, share, subscribe.
Thank you guys
and
for watching.
We'll catch you next week.
See ya.